Hello there, vinyl community and YouTube, and hello there, Russ Goodall. This is a response to your 500 subscribers contest. Russ Goodall is a kind of new channel to me. He does some very interesting reviews of albums, 60s, 70s, 80s. So congratulations, Russ, to your 500 subscribers, well deserved. And you had a very, very interesting contest. You wanted us to show artists or albums from A to Z. That was one of the tougher, one of the most interesting challenges in contest that I have heading for quite some time now. I had so much trouble in which road I was going to go. It was natural I'm going to do artists, of course. It's simpler like that. But which twist? Just favorite artists and that I'm showing a whole lot that is typical for me, or maybe I can do A to Z with just jazz. But I have very problems with certain letters. So I had very trouble in which kind of a twist I'm going to take. But then this morning, after I had my morning shower, it just struck me: A to Z in new wave and synth pop from the 80s. It was natural. Then of course still I had some letters that I had troubles with, but that I had to fill out with some artists that may not be all too connected with new wave and synth pop, but at least I got a record for an artist for that letter. So this is going to be very interesting. A to Z in synth pop and new wave from the 80s. I feel like I'm showing merely the same artists when it comes to the 80s. So I'm trying to not have all the obvious choices, to be a little bit different. So starting with A, for instance, it would be easy to pick Alpha Will, one of my absolute favorite bands, who made one of my favorite albums of all time, Forever Young. So it would be too obvious. So I picked this group, A Flock of Seagulls, a British band that I'm still missing 2 albums from having complete all of the albums. This is from '82. It's self-titled. I bought at a record fair. Having here one of my absolute favorite new wave songs from the 80s, I Ran. Not Iran, the country, but I Ran. And Space Age love song, and Modern Love is Automatic, and this is such a great new wave synth pop album. New wave synth pop from top to bottom. Coming to B, which had a couple of choices, but I felt like this one was a band that is always forgotten, that I felt like I wanted to have. Also Britain, well, a lot of these guys of course are British, naturally. Blancmange, who despite the French name is a British band. This is Mange Tout from 1983. They're in my opinion best album. Here we have the hits Don't Tell Me, which is a song that I still can't believe that it didn't become a hit, because a huge hit, I would say, synth pop classic like it. I think it had potential to be. Blind Vision we have, and actually also a cover of ABBA's song The Day Before You Came. And the interesting thing is, in the video of Blancmange The Day Before You Came, you see Agneta Fältskog from ABBA. C, also a couple of choices. but where I felt like this band was somewhat natural that I wanted to have. China Crisis, very laid back and smooth and very great band. Always loved Gary. Always loved the singer's voice. He has such a great voice. And this album from '85 has some of the most classic songs, Blackman Ray and King in a Catholic Style. That one is such a great and catchy song that should have been a bigger hit than it became. So Flaunt the Imperfection is highly recommended. Really great, great and smooth synth pop classic. D. I said I didn't want to become too obvious, and but I think that a lot of you would be very surprised if I didn't pick this artist, and I felt it was so natural, even if it was so obvious. So I picked Depeche Mode at D, of course. I picked Some Great Reward from '84, another of the fantastic albums, 80s synth pop all the way. I just love the song Something to Do. That one is such a great song. And of course Master and Servant, 80s classic. E. Here was a pretty natural choice. I could have picked Eurythmics, but I'm not all that huge Eurythmics fan that I felt that I have that much records with them. So I picked this one instead. E, of course, is for me Erasure. I picked actually one of the newer albums by Erasure. A couple of I picked newer albums by to show how that some of the 80s new wave bands are actually still doing great music. And from Erasure, who just released a new album. And the new single "Love You to the Sky" is actually a great song. But I picked from 2005, Nightbird, with the hit single "Breathe." Actually, it was a great single. Synth pop in modern style. F is also another sadly forgotten band that I have discovered big. They've done one of the best songs ever in Feels Like Heaven. And I'm talking about Fiction Factory and their album Throw the Warp Wheel Out, that I think is a sadly forgotten 80s new wave album. Very relaxing and very great melodies and great vocals, and I love Kevin Pedersen's voice. Unfortunately, they only did 2 albums. The other album, the second album, is very hard to find, and I really want to find it one day. So until then, I have to satisfy with this Throw the Warp Wheel Out from '84. They didn't become all that big besides this Feels Like Heaven. I think they a little drowned in every synth pop band that arrived on the scene at the time. They didn't have the thing that would stick out a bit from the other ones. So it's sad because they are really great. G, here I had the huge problems. I didn't find any real new wave and synth pop band on the letter G. So I picked a band that is close, but they are not really new wave synth pop, but a great 80s band still, so they're 80s. I picked Go West, that I'm a huge fan of because of Peter Cox's voice and Richard Drummond's melodies, and I love them very much. Their debut I've shown over and over again, This time I picked to show something different. Their second album, Dancing on the Couch, from 87, containing some great songs. True Colors, great hit single. I Wanna Hear It From You, such a great song. Also an album filled with great pop music from 80s. Try to speed up a bit, already 10 minutes. H, also picked a couple of names, but here I picked a band that have done great stuff, but also done some not all that interesting stuff. But this is a classic album in new wave synth pop genre from this band. Talking about, of course, Heaven 17 and How Men Are from 1984. Sunset Now is such a great song. I really love it. I really love overall the melodies that are better than ever in this album, in my opinion. Hats off to vinyl collector James, who showed Icehouse. I could have shown Icehouse also because I like them very much. But I felt like there are so many on that I can show. I can show Icicle Works is a great band. But my choice became also I wanted to show something a little oddity here. From France, a synth pop band singing French, Andegin and Le Peril Jaune with Le Peril Faune. with a little sorry for my poor French. But this is actually a great album. Nicolas Sirsis has such a great voice, and some energetic synth pop with a little touch of Asia and acoustic guitars here and there. I really like this band. And here is a song called Miss Paramount that I think is so fantastic. So check out In the Shin. J was a little bit obvious to me. Japan. And from 1981, we're taking a huge step back in time when it comes to synth pop here. Tin Drum from Japan. I discovered Japan pretty late. I discovered them just only about 10 years ago. But I realized this is such a great and relaxing and experimental and exciting band. Very exciting band. K. Here we could have picked a whole lot of interesting names. I could have picked Kraftwerk. I could have picked Kajagogo. But I felt like I wanted to pick a band that is a little bit odder than that. I only have one album by this band, but this album I got so very interested in, so I have been very curious about this band. I'm talking about Canadian group Kon Kan that had one hit with I Beg Your Pardon, a song that actually was influenced by, they had an influence from Pet Shop Boys, Always in My Mind, when they wrote that. I remember when I heard Kon Kan and I Beg Your Pardon in Swedish radio, I was very surprised how good it was, and actually there was someone was doing synth pop even in late 80s, because it wasn't all that ordinary. But this is a great fun and great produced synth pop album. A little crazy in the lyrics and a very interesting one. As I said, the band that didn't become all that big afterwards, they had, I think they released 3 albums or something like that. L I had trouble with because, as I said, I feel like I didn't want to be too obvious and show the same Morris Moon showing over and over. But I had a problem with what I was going to show on L. So why not? It's one of my favorite bands. So Level 42. I picked an album that I haven't been showing. I show it sometimes, but not too often. And it's not all that ordinary. A live album, A Physical Presence Part 1. A live album from 1985. A really great and funky live album from Level 42. M. another band that isn't all that ordinary, mainly because they only released one album and didn't become all too big. But it was a great album in the same area as Ultravox and so on. And I really liked it. Great singer Anna Maria. They did this album and then I think they would drop or something like that. Mobiles, and this is their self-titled debut from 1982. They had a minor hit with Drowning in Berlin, and Amour Amour, a really great song. N had a little problem with, another problem was that it was a pretty obvious choice. I felt it had both Naked Eyes that were great, and you had this band, but I just realized, I felt a little bit ashamed to realize that how little albums I really have with this band. I thought I had more albums with them, but obviously I don't, so I need to go out and buy more albums by them. I'm talking about New Order. It's so great. I had so many singles with New Order, and I realized that I didn't have more albums by them. I have later albums by them, but when it comes to from the 80s, the classical albums, I saw that they weren't there, so I guess but I took what I had. So what I should choose? I choose Low Life from '85, even though this is not their absolute best album. It's a good album, but it's not the absolute best album. From N to O, pretty obvious. OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. I didn't choose one of the studio albums. I chose this Greatest Hits CD, and I choose it because it's very special. It contains both CD and a DVD with all other videos from start to Universal '96. P, also another band that is very forgotten today. It only did one album. Talking about Person to Person, very forgotten album. This is also a promotional copy. Discovered this band when I did a blind buy on the single Live on the Rebound, and discovered that this was so great 80s pop music. Person to Person actually is Dave Palmer, who played drums with ABC. He created it with the singer Pete Eason, and didn't have all that much success. But this album is really great 80s British pop music with a lot of synthesizers. Q was a problem. I didn't find any new wave band, really new wave band on Q. And I don't have all that much Queen albums. I'm not a huge Queen fan. And Queensryche. So I picked Paul Young's all group Q-Tips. Not really a new wave band, but still it's the 80s. This is a self-titled album from 1980. 1980. R. I picked an artist that I discovered very late, a solo singer that I like very much, a great producer, really interesting and experimental composer, Rupert Hine. This is the album Immunity from 1980. Bad luck with the years these days. 81, consisting of a song called I Hang On To My Vertigo, that I think is so fantastic, great and relaxing and mysterious. S had a whole lot of choices there, Simple Minds and so on, but I chose Spandau Ballet. and I chose a very early Spandau Ballet, one of the first albums, if not the first, Journey to Glory from 1980. Very early synth pop, more synth pop on this album than I think there are in any of their later albums. T, a band that I showed in my previous Andy's Vinyl Den Perfect 10 albums. Talk Talk, of course, and I'm showing their debut, The Party's Over. But the party's just begun when this album was released in 1982. Still Mark Holly's great voice. You was a natural choice, Ultravox. And here I also like, when it comes to Erasure, I'm showing a later album to show that they actually do still great music. I'm showing Brilliant from 2012. Sure, Midge Ure's voice has aged very much. It's not the same voice, but still it's good, it works, and here they have combined their old thinking when it comes to doing melodies with fresh music melodies. Really great album. I had a trouble with first, but then it struck me the natural, of course, Visage. Stephen Strange band from 1982, The Anvil, the very sadly forgotten single that should have been right up there with Fade to Grey when it comes to classical status, The Damned Don't Cry, that I really like. The Visage from the days when they were at the most classic. W, Vinyl Collector James showed Wang Chung, and he showed I showed their most famous album, Point of the Curve, that I was a little bit disappointed. It wasn't all that good. I didn't think it was as good as I thought it was. So I'm showing Mosaic from 85, 86. But that became more popular, of course. But I can also show this one. He talked about this one, that he didn't have this one, but this is their debut album. I'm not sure I'm going to count this because they're not called Wang Chang, they're called Huang Chang here in their debut album. Self-titled. I think this is Wang Chang's absolute best album. It's a really great synth pop album. X, natural. XTC. Oranges and Lemons, I've shown this one a couple of times. Great album. Not a synth pop band, but count them, I guess, as new wave still, new wave pop, but not synth pop. But this one from 89 contains some great songs. Major Simpleton, I love this song. Why did I pick this band? Because they're the best band on the letter Y that I know. Could have picked Jello Magic Orchestra, but I don't have any albums with them. So I picked Jello. Yazoo I could also picked. But Jello and You Gotta Say Yes to Another Excess from 83. A great album containing some of the best songs that they did. Lost Again, such a great song. So I really like Yellow. I really like Peter Meyer's voice and style and so on. And Z, ZZ Top isn't a new wave synth pop band, and I felt like everyone else have more or less showed ZZ Top. So I showed a Swedish band that has nothing to do with the new wave era. They're a Swedish jazz pop band that did smooth, jazzy pop melodies with the singer Anna Nederdal's very laid back and cool, jazzy voice. They sung in Swedish, but they're really great. They're called Zai, and of course that's jazz spelled backwards. And the album Scirocco from 1989. consisting of a great song called Du som var min bästa vän, You Who Were My Best Friend. Really great one. So, a little longer video, but hey, I got a lot of letters to go through. With that, I hope that you are satisfied with my answer, Russ Goodall. I have a 90s 10 from 1 to go through also, and I have soon another vinyl CD update for the past month of April to go through also. So those will be coming next, I hope. And I know also that there were some requests when I asked you to if you want me to show anything, write it in the comment section. You can still do if you have wishes that you want me to show anything. Write it in the comment section. And I got a wish from Adam87 to do some reviews of George Michael and Madonna albums, and maybe I should do some more reviews, and maybe that should be something. But until next time, I hope that each and every one of you have a really nice time and nice week, and so long and take care.